My name is Krishna Rachakonda. I'm a Microsoft MVP in business applications. I was given MVP in January 2021. And I work for a company called Compusoft Integrated Solutions, but most of and I'm very active in Microsoft forums like Power Automate community as well as Power Apps community as well. I'm a dual super user in both the forums, and occasionally I do the blogging as well as YouTube contributions as well on the Power platform. And you can reach me on different I gave my contacts here, email, Twitter, and LinkedIn. You can connect with me and we can share ideas, and if any questions, or I'll be happy to learn from everybody, so please connect with me too, so we can have a discussion on that. So before I got a couple of more slides, but before we get into the slides, I will start with my session here. The very first thing, before we get into the Azure application insights, before that we need to know why do we need it, and then we will talk about what exactly it is and how it's going to help us. So every day, if you are like a professional or a citizen developer of Power Platform, you may be developing a lot of business applications using Power Apps. Today I'm going to talk more about only Canvas applications, not model-driven applications. So daily, if you're a consultant or if you're automating a lot of these business applications, probably you may be creating a lot of these applications by using Power Apps. So in the Power Apps, what we can do is, like it's very easy to start working with the Power Apps. You can just drag and drop controls and you can build applications even with no code. If it is an Excel or some data source, you can directly build some applications with no code and start customizing from there onwards. So there are some applications which are very small, means the audience is very small, like maybe 10 users or less than 100 users. But there will be some enterprise level applications which are very business critical applications that we can create using Power Apps. When we create business critical applications using Power Apps, they need to be continuously monitored, especially when these applications are being used by various users throughout geographically located from different locations. We need to monitor them continuously, how these applications are working and how they are with respect to performance wise, with respect to functionality wise, are they really meeting the business needs of the users or not. So when we need to find out how heavily or how well these applications are being used by different users, we need some monitoring system. So if we take any any Power App application, Canvas application, and if you're an Power App admin, you can go to, if you see my screen, you can directly click on Admin Center, and once you click on the Admin Center, you can, under the analytics, click on Power Apps, and we can see a bunch of reports here. One is usage reports, and usage reports are basically what are the different platforms used to access these Power App application, and what are the different Power App players are, and region of access, and different reports. And if you see, the reports are very limited reports here, and also limited usage reports. And also, if we see the report data, the data which is shown on these reports are very limited as well. Like if we max data that we can show on the reports are last 28 days. You can't go beyond 28 days from Power Platform Admin Center. And also there are other categories of reports as well. If you see the locations, again, from which locations these app is getting access from, and different other reports as well. So this is one way, like we can get minimum information. But if your application, enterprise level Power App application, is being used to last 6 months or 1 year, and you want to know the trend of the usage, how many new users are started getting into the app, or how heavily these applications are used. Okay, if my enterprise application has 10 different screens automating different processes, so which screens the most number of users are landing on, and what is the common path every user is going or browsing within my app. To know all those details, these reports are not sufficient. Whatever out of the box Microsoft providing in the admin center is not sufficient. So we need to go a little beyond these reports. So to get that report, we can rely on Azure's application insights. Azure application insights give you more in-depth monitoring as well as usage data that will help you to see how heavily your application is being used, and a lot of other functionalities also available as part of the Azure application insights. We'll see that as well. And when we talk about monitoring, these reports are one way of monitoring things, how the application is being used. But the second monitoring, which we always used for troubleshooting if there are any issues with your Power App. For example, let's take one of the app. Let me click on my app right here. This is a sample application which I created some time back. This is a number puzzle, a game application. I want to monitor how this application is working. So for that, I can just go and edit the application, and then you will see your application in the Power App Studio. I think it's not open yet. Like while it is opening, so it's basically like once you open the application in the Power App Studio, then you can use the another monitoring tool, which is no, not from here though. Let's select this one, and you can go click on the monitor tool. Once you click on monitor, it will launch the application, and also it will tell you it will show you the last published application will be launched. It will show you an alert or a notification to the user. And if you see here, I launched the monitoring of the application, and you are connected to a monitor debug session. So whenever you want to troubleshoot something with respect to any functional issues or performance related issues, this monitoring is another tool that you can use on top of your applications. Once you select the app, you can see that monitor tool or the utility. Once you click on that, then it will launch the last published application version of the application, and then it will show you the notification on the top, and then whatever actions you perform here, then it will try to log all that information right here. It is like a tracing. It is not it traces all your actions, and you can see how fast your screens are getting loaded. Sometimes in my application, for example, if I'm loading some data from a data source and use or a big formula or the function, PowerFX function is trying to load the data by filtering, sorting, all kinds of operations it is doing, then it will try to show you all of that information. If you see here, I put a trace function, and we can see some messages as well. So we can troubleshoot all the issues with the monitoring tool. So these are the two things that I can use preliminarily before I go and start using Azure Insights. I can start relying on these two usage tools. One is Power Apps Analytics, where I can see all the reports. All these reports and see the high-level overview of usage. And if you run into any functional issues or any performance-related issues, we can still use these monitoring tools, and then we can troubleshoot the issues. Even then, sometimes when we launch or when we have a enterprise level applications, when we have an enterprise applications, you can't run these applications live. Means you can't troubleshoot in a production environment. You need to take a backup and troubleshoot in your dev environment or in any other environment. But when my application is running in the production environment and still I want to see all the tracing, all the other information, that's when I can rely on the Azure Insights. So Azure's application insights. So let's go back to my slide where I have one single slide which explains in detail what exactly the Azure monitoring service is. So Azure monitoring service, if you see that in Azure tenant or whole Office 365 and other services, if we consider, then there are 600 plus cloud services are there. All kinds of services in the Azure environment, and all these services are can be monitored with the Azure monitoring service. What the monitoring service is, it's a common service which will help us to monitor all wide varieties of all these 600 plus cloud services. And when we monitor with this monitor service, what it will do is it will log the information, all the tracing information, into two different kinds of databases. One is metrics database, the other one is logs database. Metrics database means the database will contain the data which is very good or which is more appropriate to generate reports directly out of that database, which is nothing but your graphs, bar charts, or donuts, or other charts. Whereas the other database is a logs database, where logs database is more of line by line items which are like a tracing information. Whether we write some information or errors or anything that we write into monitoring tool, that all will be captured in the logs. And on the screen on the right side bottom, if you see the maps, how they will look like, the data comes from the metrics database. You can generate graphs out of it directly. You don't need to build a lot of, you can directly generate the graphs. And from the logs, it will be like a tracing information, line by line, different columns of information. So this is overall the monitoring service. How I can use this monitoring service with my Power Apps application, which is an enterprise level application. We don't need to use this monitoring service for small applications which got like 10 users or very less number of audience. On any enterprise level application, I would recommend to use monitoring service. We'll see a lot of these benefits with it, and especially if you're planning to use the app for many years or more than months, more than a month or like a long time, then you can get all the reports you can generate for a long time. So let's go back to the again this one here to use the Azure application insights. Very first thing what we need to do is open your Azure portal, which is portal.azure.com. And once you open the portal.azure.com, I'm assuming that we already have a subscription to Azure, because for every service that we want to use in the Azure tenant, we need to have a basic subscription. Without the subscription, we cannot use it. So you can create your own personal tenant, Azure tenant, and then you can start with your free trial version of it, and then you can use the Azure application insights. Or in your company, if you already have a Azure portal, then you can directly log into portal.azure as a global admin, and then you can start using application insights. So once I log into portal.azure, just type for application insights. You can already see that in my recent search. So that's why here I already have one application insights created. So, but we will try to. I'll show you how to create a new one. So application insights, when I click on add or new, it shows me this information, all the metadata or the information I need to provide. The very first one is which Azure subscription I need to use. In a tenant, I can have multiple subscriptions, and depending upon the requirements, I can use particular subscription. And then resource groups, I can any resource group, and here the instance details. This is the name of the application insights. So one thing is application insights, you can have multiple application insights. One application insight can connect to one particular application, or one application insights can connect to multiple applications as well. Means I can create a single application insight, and I can use this particular application insight. I can connect this with multiple Power App applications. What's the drawback with that is, when you come into this application insights and to see the monitoring information, you need to filter every time the data, monitoring usage data or the other data based on your application. Sometimes it's very hard to filter. So I recommend generally to create a separate application insights every time you want to monitor a specific application, so that it's easy to generate or isolate all the monitoring information into one particular application insights. So here we can mention the name of the application insights and in which region this insights data should reside. So we can select any region, just like the tenant regions. And then the resource mode, this by default it is workspace based. And the subscription, again, this is related to workspace details, and the logs analytics. These are the default information we need to provide. Once you review and click on create button, it will create the application insights. So I already created it, so let's click on the existing one. Once we create an application insights, then what we will say is there is a lot of options on the left side here. We don't need to worry about that. At this moment, I will explain each of majority of them. The very first thing that we need to take from this screen is the instrumentation key. So the only way that we can connect our application insights with your Power App application is by using instrumentation key. This is the key that we need. All we need to do is just copy this key and now open your Power Apps portal, and then whichever application you want to connect or monitor by using application insights, just open that application in edit mode. So for example, this is a monitoring one, so I'll just close these ones. Let me edit this application. So we just need to open the Power App application. Once that is opened, then we need to add in only one location that the instrumentation key. So this is my number puzzle application. So all we need to do is just select the app, app element, and then on the right side, the properties, there is a property called instrumentation key. All we need to do is just paste that instrumentation key. That's the GUID that we got it from the Azure application insight that we created. So all we need to do is just copy that instrumentation key and paste it here. Once you paste it here, and then go to file and save it, and then publish the application. As soon as we publish the application, Microsoft says it takes 30 minutes. After you publish the application, from 30 minutes onwards, it will start capturing all the monitoring information into application insights. But generally, I observed it's anytime after 10 minutes onwards, I have seen data, it started capturing all the data. So once I publish this application, what I can do is I can just close that application, and then I can launch the application now. Once I launch the application, now let's assume this is an enterprise level application. So the various users will navigate from the home screen, from the home screen to different screens. Through they do a lot of navigation, and they enter the data as well. So they will navigate from one screen to another screen. Different screens are here. So I'm just trying to navigate to different screens here. So as I navigate, and I can perform a lot of other operations as well. While I'm performing the operations, what it will do is every single time I'm visiting different screens or performing different operations, a lot of this information, the usage information, is captured in the Azure monitoring service. So, but within the application, so far I did not enter any specific or custom messages. For example, in my application, if you see, whenever I'm clicking on a button, let's assume I have a form I'm submitting. So whenever I'm submitting a form, if I run into some issue because some dependent item is not existing, or if dependent item fails for some reason, then only the end user can see the error information on this client browser. But I want to log that information in the Azure monitoring service. So we can use some functions such as trace. Trace is a function that we can use to write the information directly into the Azure monitoring service. So I'll show you that as well. So I did navigate some of the screens here. Now let's go back into the Azure Insights. Now, once I come to the Azure Insights here, I just connected right now, but I also have another application called Budget Tracker here, which is also connected to the same application Insights. So same application Insights, I used it for two different applications. One is for my number puzzle, as well as the other one is for Budget Tracker, another Power App application. So I use the same application Insights for both the apps. Now here also I did navigate to different screens and did a lot of add, insert, edit, and delete other operations as well. So I can see all that operations in my Azure Insights. So how I can analyze or monitor the information in this application Insights. So if we see in the Insights, there are a couple of sections here. There are a lot of data. It's going to take hours to explain each and every item here. But what I will be doing is I'll be more focusing on monitoring as well as usage sections. So here, if you see alerts, if there are any errors or particular actions whenever we are logging into a monitoring service, if I want a particular admin of the Power App or global admin, if they need to receive some notifications, then we can set some alerts here. And also we can also not just sending notifications, but we can also do a lot of other actions as well. When particular alerts are done, you can perform some additional actions as well. And the other one is workbooks. Workbooks are similar to your reports, what we have seen in other places in the admin console, admin portal. It is similar to that. We can use these workbooks to do a lot of report we can generate. Like it already have by default, Azure Application Insights gives you so many out of the box public templates. It will give you a lot of public templates so that you can directly use. For example, I want to generate a report of active users who used the Power App application, which is connected with this Azure Insights. I don't need to build a report. I can just directly come to the workbooks. Already there is a one under usage section. There is a workbook called active users. We can see like that. There are many other workbooks for different categories. Performance, there are 4 or 5 failures, availability. A lot of these workbooks are available. If we see the usage one, it will show us how these two applications, because from this application insights I connected two Power Apps applications. So it will show me how many active users. I just use my personal account, so I just only one account, but there were 6 unique sessions, and in these 6 unique sessions I did 46 views. And also if you see here, it will show you different screens in both the Power App applications. So these are 4 different, all these are different screens in my Power App application, and these are the instances it explains. It shows all of that. And also last 30 days, and also I can see up to 90 days. In the previously the admin portal, here we can see up to 28 days. That's the max data that I can see. But in the Azure Insight, now I can see up to data up to 90 days. I can generate data up to 90 days. But it is not up to 90 days, but in some other places I can generate data how much ever backdated we can do it. So let's see the other one as users. Workbooks is one thing. I will come back to the logs in the final as a final step. So these are the users as well. Let's say there are thousands of users or hundreds of users are logging in. So you can daily see all the user information, bar chart or line chart or area chart. Different types of charts are available. And also I mentioned previously, we can generate a report not just 28 days or 90 days. This gives you the option to go back to beyond 90 days also. You can click on custom. It will give you a calendar which you can backdate to any particular. For example, I can put 2020 also. I can go back to very long back, but we don't know like how much data. We need to see how much data it's really storing, but we can go back and set the data. These dates so far back. And also if you see here, let me just bring it back to last 3 days, and we will see these users, view more insights. And when I click on that, it will show me down all these options. Particular, if you see again, 6 sessions, 46 events, performance is some reason it is unacceptable. And also if you see like country or region, 1 user, but from US, and which operating system and which browser version, all of that, it is categorically showing us all of that. And we can also see like different most active users or different filters, or the other options are also available here. And apart from these, there are 2 very interesting options which I really like in this Azure Insights is logs and user flows. User flows. Previously, when I was talking about the drawbacks or the limitations in the Azure, in the admin portal, is that this is not giving me what is my let's say my enterprise application is accessed by 1,000 users or 2,000 users. I would like to know how many users are accessing different different screens in my application. What is their common path? What are the different, for example, in my application, how many users are inserting the data or updating the data, or a particular flow I want to see. That I can see that information in the user flows. If I go to user flows and then click on select an event here, and then select on start, and the time range I'm selecting it last 14 days, even though I don't have the data for all of that. And here included events, I will select all the page views, and here, and then I click on create graph. This will create the graphs. This will show us the graph. And also here, if you see observe the graph, you can clearly see this session. There were 6 sessions which were launched by the same user. It's my account, and one of them is going to budget screen, which is another app like a budget tracker app, 3 sessions, and a number puzzle, 3 sessions. In these also, from budget screen to new budget screen, 3 sessions, and again budget screen, like how the user navigated in each of the session I can see with this flow. But here if you see, there are only 3 steps here. By default it is showing us 3 steps, but I can go up to 9 steps, 9 previous steps and 9 next steps. Okay, let's see. If you see that, it will show you the entire flow of a session, almost up to 9 steps. Okay, so for example, let's take the budget application. So the user, if you see all the 3 sessions, the users came to new budget screen, and after that 3 again budget screen 2, 2 of the sessions went to ads expenses screen, and only 1 it deleted, and the other 2, again these 2 sessions again came back to budget screen. Like that, we can see a lot of these back and forth, how the users are navigating between the screens. So this will really help understanding how my application is being used by all the users. And also one other important note here is, if you see the lines, some are very thick, some are very thin. Depending on the number of sessions or number of users are accessing, the line thickness changes. The more the sessions, the more thicker it will be. So that's how graphically you can see. Oh, okay, clearly even without reading any of these titles or labels, I can clearly see this is the thickness that is going in this particular path. So this is the flow most of my users are accessing. Okay, so and also I can also see when the users are ending their sessions, in which screens most of these users are ending their sessions. I can see that. And also if they have any, I can also derive some of the functionality, like okay, how I can improve my application to make the usability better by observing these flows. So this is very, very useful usage data that we can use. And also, can I save this and share it with any users? Yes, we can do it. You can save this, but it will only save locally within this Azure environment. So I can save it to my reports or a shared reports. So I can just click on my reports and save it. Once I save it, I can share it. I can share the report, move to share a link, and then move to shared reports, and then the report is actually moved to the shared reports because we want to share it with other users. Then it will give you a link here. You can just share link via email. When you click on it, it will open your Outlook local email client and directly places this link, or you can just copy this link and you can go to another browser window and just paste that link, and it will show you exactly the same report which I saved. I don't need to regenerate that report. So I can simply share this link in my shared reports and send it as an email to any user, or like a Power Platform, like the app developer or architect or solution architect. They can see and analyze it, and they can take decisions based on this report. They don't need to log in into this one. So that's very good, helpful information. And the other thing is, as I mentioned previously, logs is the one which I shared in my PowerPoint earlier. The logs will contain the data in the rows and columns, all the tracing information. So if I come back here, when I click on logs, just like workbooks, logs also have some pre-built queries. Okay, I don't need to build any queries, but you can leverage an existing queries. So if you see here, here the logs are all are stored in the tracing information is stored in a database, and to retrieve all that information we can write our own queries as well. So if you see here on the top of the screen, it is blinking here where I can type my query. But how do I type it? Is it a SQL query? It is similar to SQL, but it is not SQL. There is another language called Kuto language. Gusto language. That's the language that it is very popular with other. I think Python or other technologies, they use this one a lot. So Gusto is query language is being used in this particular queries. And also to start with, you don't need to really learn this language, but there are, as I said already, there are pre-built queries. You can just type that. You can just click on it, and it will give you. It has intelligence, so you can grab all that information. So time range, let's select it. I want to see last 7 days, and I'm not putting any information here, just traces, all the traces which were generated in last 7 days. So just click on run, and then when I ran that particular query, it showed me everything, all the tracing information which is generated from the applications. And if you see some of the messages, like message from number puzzle and budget details are saved. This is all my custom messages. I'll show you how exactly I wrote these statements to get into the monitoring. But this is all my custom. Most of them are all my custom messages. So this is all information. But there are different severity levels. I can log the information, like whether it can be an information purpose or a critical failure or errors. I can log all kinds of information into this trace. Okay, so I can see all this trace information. How can I use this information? One of the even though I can see the information, all this tracing information as lines and different columns, I can export this entire trace information as a CSV file. You can export it as a CSV file so that we can share it with other users, or you can also export to Power BI as well. Why do we need this feature, export to Power BI? Power BI is mainly meant for all the dashboards and the reports that you can generate, right? So you can directly export this entire information as to Power BI. So does it actually export the data into Power BI? No, it actually gives you the M query. Okay, let's click on it and let's see that. So it want to allow us. As soon as I exported it, then it actually, if you see my bottom left corner, then it actually downloaded a file, which is a M query file. Downloaded a text file which contains the M query. So what this M query contains? It doesn't contain any data. No tracing information is downloaded. It contains only the M query. So if you see, it also included the instructions as well. So this what should we do with this M query is just open the Power BI desktop, and then we can get open the Power BI desktop and then get data, blank query, and in the advanced query editor, just copy paste the entire thing, and then you will be able to generate the you can make the data source. Means our Power BI will directly connect to the Azure Application Insights to get all the tracing information. So let's do that quickly. So I already have an instance of Power BI here. This is my Power BI desktop, and here according to the M query, this text file, what it says is open the Power BI desktop and go to get data and blank query and advanced query editor. So all we need to do is get data and then blank query, and then it opens the blank query here. Once it opens the blank query, just click on advanced editor, and then here in this query we just remove everything and come back to the notepad on this query and copy entire query. Just Control A and Control C and come back to your query, Control V, paste everything. It will show you like no syntax errors, nothing, and then click on done. What it will happen is it will use that connection information in that M query, and then it will connect to your application insights logs database directly, and then it will use that as a data source and brings you all the information right here, all the custom data information. So it's not like just 3 or 4 columns, it contains lots of information. Okay, we will see that in once you connect to the application insight, just close and apply. What will happen is it will get all the data into the Power BI and it generates a model, and then we will see on the right side all the fields it brought from the Azure Application Insights. And now we can generate any kinds of reports. I mean, this is just a sample, but we need to make sure what data exactly, what kind of reports we want to build, and depending on that we need to get all the data. And I can just simply build a report, like a map report here. I would like to put the location. Let's expand it a little bit. I want to see the I will say city. This is a client location, location data. It will directly show you my location. Where am I right now? If I expand it, you can see right now I'm in Houston, Texas, and it shows exactly my location here because I use my apps from this location. And also you can just put another card here, and you can put some other values like the item count or something that will give you how many total sessions or the other metadata that you want to show in the reports. So this is how you can generate different reports out of your tracing information which you log into the application insights from your Power App application. The last thing I want to show you is how I can log any of my custom information into this Azure Insights. So to do that, let's go into any of the app that I opened here. I believe, yeah, the number puzzle. If I open this one, I hope the home screen. No, nothing. Yeah, let me open this budget tracker. Let me edit this, and then yeah, I believe I think I wrote this one here. Okay, so if I click on play button here, I placed a simple trace command here. The trace is a trace function in the Power FX. If you see here, the Power FX, the trace function. By using the trace function, we can log the information back into the application insights. This is the message that I'm logging and what is the severity level. And also you can pass, there is another third parameter which is a record type as well. Like if you want to pass multiple columns of information as a record, you can do that as a third parameter as well. So the trace function, you can see that in the documentation, Microsoft documentation, the trace function, and this is the syntax. And the trace function, we will use that in number of instances when you are creating any test cases. We use the tracing as well. So this is all different places we can use that. So that's all about the application insights. Any